I am sharing in the chat my contact info and also a link to a playlist if you want music while we flow today. You can start it right when we get onto our mats. It's nice atmospheric music. It doesn't really have any drive. So it will work whenever you start it. And today we're going to be working on the feeling of opening up. And largely it's going to be opening up our sides and opening up some of our hips. But I think starting the week with this nice approach of staying open to what comes and being open to new experiences, etc., is always a lovely practice to cultivate. So that's a little bit of our focus for the next half hour. And then, as always, for these 30 minutes, this is not like a power class. It's not about getting a sweat. It's about taking some time to connect to your body, maybe undo some kinks, so that you can carry on the rest of the day feeling nice and fluid and good. So we're not here to kill ourselves. Just listen to what you need. And with that, we can go ahead and come to our mats. And today we're actually going to start in a child's pose. And if you're using that music, go ahead and you can get it started. And you've got a bunch of options today for our child's pose. First, either the legs can be touching, inner thighs touching, or you can keep the toes touching and walk the knees as wide as the mat. You could have the toes tucked. That might feel better for you. So you're a little bit elevated in your child's pose. Or you could have them untucked. And then the final thing I want you to think about is keeping length in the spine. And if you have a yoga block, it's really helpful. In this case, you can put it under the forehead. And you'll see with the yoga block under my head that there's a better line from my skull all the way towards my tailbone. Whereas if I don't have that, I'm pretty curved. So for right now, I just want to get a sense of neutral long spine. And if you don't have a block, my hack is to make a fist and place the pinky side on the mat and then bring a flat palm on top of that fist and rest your forehead on that. And it just helps give a little bit of lift to the head. And let's take a breath through the nose here and out through the mouth. And we'll keep cueing into our breath here. And as you are getting into this space, kind of finding some quiet for yourself, I want you to start feeling how the back moves in response to your breath. So maybe you can almost let the shoulders move up towards the ears with your inhale and exhale, relax them. Or maybe you feel like the air is puffing into your low back, and that's fine too. But just see if you can start to bring your focus to the back and think about how the breath flows even there, even though we don't think about it very often. It does affect the back. And then if you took the hands under the head, you can walk the hands forward. Maybe you'll keep the head off the floor here. Really feel what feels good. And then we'll walk the hands to the left. Maybe they come off the mat or they could be on the diagonal. But just keeping that length in your spine. Anchor the right half of the pelvis towards the heel so that it's not coming out of alignment, and you'll feel that stretch on the right side really open up. And now breathe here. Feel that breath, extending the side body. Good, and then walk yourself back through center. And hands will walk to the right to some degree. Keeping length in the spine. Imagine that left half of the pelvis anchoring, not letting it peel away. Big inhale. And exhale. Good, and take yourself back to center. And we're gonna roll, we'll keep our head oriented towards the front of the mat. We just roll onto our backs. So just flip over one side. I'm just gonna lock the Zoom room. But you'll recline and we're heading towards a low bridge. So feet will be flat on the floor. Those knees will point up towards the ceiling. letting the feet be a comfortable distance from the pelvis. And then extend the tailbone a little bit towards the heels and activate the glutes to lift into your low bridge. Not coming too high. We're not really going for a big extension like a back bend here. Instead, we want to find our stability, wake up the glutes. Next option here is to take the arms into goalposts or cactus, bending at the elbows. They're going to come out from the shoulders. So kind of like making the goalposts from a football field with your arms. Breathe here, inhale. Imagine the cylinder of the ribs moving away from the pelvis. And then exhale, the ribs kind of consolidate and pull back down towards the pelvis. Next option here, you can take the thumbs to the inner border of your front pelvic points. So if you feel those pointy things right at the front of the pelvis, and just give a little massage on the inside. The muscle that lines the rim of the pelvis is called the iliacus, and it can get tense, but because it's, right against the pelvis, it's pretty hard to loosen up. So you can just gently rub the thumbs in towards that inner border of the pelvis. Good, and then let that go if you took it. Everybody bring your palms back so that they're next to your pelvis on the floor, and we'll just lower slowly, lowering the pelvis to the mat. And we'll take the hands to the front of those pelvic points, nice and flat with the palms, and then lift the right knee over the hip, keeping the knee bent, lower the foot, and we'll lift the left knee. And you might think, okay, we're not really doing anything here, but we are. I want you to try to sense that the pelvis is staying neutral as you draw these knees up over the hips and then back down. So trying to avoid things rocking or tipping. You might feel a little bit of weight shift, and that's natural, but you don't want to be really taking that to the extreme. Good, and then we're going to layer onto this and use this motion for our core wake up. So you'll bring, if you can keep doing that version or do this version. Bring both knees over the hips. Keep focusing on that long spine here. And then reach the arms up towards the ceiling, fingertips reaching up and the palms facing each other. These are called dead bugs. So you'll start to lower the right heel towards the floor, simultaneously lowering the right arm overhead towards the floor. Only go as far as you can without the back puffing up or arching, and then exhale, draw everything back to where you started. So we inhale here, exhale, and then the left heel reaches towards the floor, left arm reaching overhead. Draw it back to neutral. Inhale. And exhale, right side, leg and arm reaching away from each other, but we're really making the core stabilize here. And back to neutral, and left, leg and arm, back to neutral, right side, back to neutral, and last time here, left side. Back to neutral, we're gonna switch it up a little bit. Right leg starts to lower, but the left arm reaches back. You can start to take this into more of a straightened lower if you want to up the ante, but really be mindful of the ribs wanting to puff up. Then left leg, right arm. Back to neutral. We'll do one more each side this way. Right leg, left arm. If you're shaking, I'm with you. Last time here, left leg, right arm. Back to neutral. Let's pull those knees in towards the chest. And you'll take this shape, take it over onto your left side. So just rolling onto your side here. And you'll keep this left knee bent. It doesn't have to be tight up against your chest or anything. You can maybe lay on the left arm and then reach the right leg straight, like it was somebody was pulling your heel away from you. And at the same time, reach the right arm over the ear towards the direction of the front of the mat. You'll feel a nice, gentle side stretch here. Inhale. And then exhale, I want you to imagine you're just bringing a slight curve to the back, almost like puffing the ribs in the front of you into your back, taking out any arch. Good, and then draw everything back to where you started, and we'll roll onto our backs again, taking those knees towards you. And we'll head to the other side, rolling to the right. That you can lay on the right arm, maybe on the bicep, and then that left leg reaches long, as if somebody was pulling it away from you. And the left arm reaches in the opposite direction. Inhale here. Exhale, puff the front body into the back body. It's kind of a subtle feeling. Just keep the energy of this stretch. Good, and then curl everything back in. And we'll roll onto our backs and then keep this roll going, and we'll come towards all fours. So you'll have to adjust so that you come back onto the mat, but that's fine. Lining up the wrist crease so it's parallel with the front of your mat, and bring those knees under the hips for our quadruped. We'll inhale, extend the chest like you were gonna pull it through the hands, through the arms for cow, and then exhale, push the floor away, puff that upper back up for your cat. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Inhale for cow, check in with the chin. We don't want to jut it forward, but keep the gaze naturally a little bit in front of the hands and the neck nice and long. And then your cat. And we'll relax to neutral. We're gonna switch this up to start our first sequence here. Internally rotate the hips. So that means that the knees are gonna knock towards each other and the feet might come a little bit off the mat. That might feel too extreme, so you can always have the feet a little bit closer to each other. That's no big deal. But if you can envision, we are essentially doing this action, internal rotation in both hips. And we're gonna try cat-cow here. So we inhale, pull the chest forward. Exhale, puff the upper back up. You'll feel this pull slightly differently across the back of the pelvis. Inhale for that cow, nice long neck. And exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And then come back to neutral. We're headed to gate pose. So you're gonna open up to the right side of your mat. Keep swiveling the left foot behind you and then reach the right leg towards the back of the mat. You're weighted into the left hand and the right arm's gonna reach over the ear, reaching towards the front of the mat. Now we basically just did this, but we were on the floor. So this is that same feeling of the side stretch, but it's a bit more extreme now. You can let the left ear fall towards the left shoulder. Inhale here. Exhale, reach the tailbone towards the right heel. And the next option is to backstroke the right arm. So you'll be reaching up towards that right foot, towards the mat, and then forward once again. And if you have that neck in this relaxed position, you'll really feel it into the side of the neck as well. If you took that just a couple more. Good, and then little funky transition here. We're gonna sit back. So you'll start to sweep the left foot so it comes almost under you, and then sit the hips back. We're headed towards a seated twist, 2 options. You can immediately cross the right leg over the left, planting that foot, or you can extend the left leg first and then cross that right leg. Really depends on how your hips feel. Bring those palms to heart center in prayer. Inhale, feel the spine lengthen, and then exhale, use the strength of your core to twist to the right. So we're twisting towards the leg that's on top. You can bring the right fingers to the floor maybe, and the left hand to the knee, but don't use it to jam your twist here. We're still just using our hands to remind us to lift through our spine. One more breath. And exhale. We'll head to side lunges facing the opposite side of the mat. Actually, I lied to you. We're heading to a low lunge. So hang with me. We'll unwind to the left. If you straighten this left leg, curl it back under you. Everybody press into the right foot and walk yourself all the way to the back of the mat. Left foot's forward. We lower the right knee under the hip. Untuck those toes and inhale, rise for your half kneel. Inhale here. Exhale, pull the front ribs towards your back. And then let the arms dangle by your sides. And one at a time, we'll roll the shoulders back. Feeling as you go that the shoulder blade's gonna lift all over the rib cage to make this happen. And that's really great for opening up the back. Try keeping length in the back of the neck there. Good, and then let that rolling go. Fingertips will come to the floor. We tuck the right toes and turn towards our right. So we're facing the opposite side of the mat than we were for seated twist. Side lunge here, bending into the right knee and hip. Both sets of toes are facing that side of the mat, so the feet are parallel. And switch sides, we side lunge left. Remembering you can always take the hands to the pelvis so you're a bit more on an upper diagonal, or if it feels okay for the joints and the back of the legs, you can bring the hands to the floor. Just feel what is feeling right now. But this should be just moving back and forth, a really nice opener for those inner thighs. Just a couple more. Good, and we'll turn ourselves towards the front of the mat, both feet turning with us. And then plant the hands and you'll sweep the right leg back towards a three-legged down dog. So you can even stop in down dog first and kind of check in. Pelvis is the peak of this pose, and we can keep the knees a little bit bent. And then if you want, you can slide that right leg up. We're gonna move this a little bit. Exhale, step the right foot as far forward as you can, and just shift the weight into like this front foot in the hands. It's an adapted bent knee pyramid. And we press into the hands, sweep the right leg back, three-legged down dog. Inhale and exhale, step that right foot forward to some degree. It doesn't have to be between the hands. Just keep length in the spine. Good, and sweep the right leg back. Inhale. Exhale, step it forward, keep the right hip crease reaching towards the back of the mat. That's gonna help keep your pelvis neutral. And you keep this right knee bent. Doesn't have to be stick straight. One more time, we sweep the leg back, inhale. Exhale, step on that right foot, bend the knee, lengthen the spine. Remember that pelvis staying neutral. We'll slide the left foot next to the right, bend the knees really deeply, and let the hips sit back in space. Walk the fingertips forward. You can let the head release. Almost pull the chin towards your throat, and you'll feel a nice stretch in the back of the neck. Inhale and exhale. And we'll slide the hands towards the legs and just rise to stand. We'll get a little more hip opening here, hands to the side of the pelvis. Press into the right foot, squeeze that glute, and the left knee lifts. This is like a stork. And then the left foot lowers, and we'll open the left knee, but in more external rotation. So let me turn so you can see. So we lift straight first, and then we externally rotate at the hip to lift. And your leg will not likely be exactly to your side. It's going to be more on the diagonal. And that's okay. We all have different hip structures. So we're just getting a little balance work with a little added opening in this left hip. But keeping this whole pelvic region stable is really the key to being able to work in the hip. So we'll do just a couple more of those. Good, and let the left foot lower. We'll slide it behind us and immediately turn left, opening for goddess. So we open that left hip, we bend into the knees, and the heels are rotating in slightly towards each other. Open the arms nice and wide here. Inhale. Exhale, right hand to the front of the ribs, left hand reaching over, side bend to the right. Back to vertical, arms reach out. Inhale. Exhale, left hand to the front of your ribs, side bend left. And we use this hand to make sure that the rib cage doesn't fly forward. It's going to cheat us out of a stretch here. So if you keep things stacked, you maximize the stretch in the side. One more each way, switching hands. Right hand's on the ribs, left arm over. And last time, left hand on the ribs, right arm over. Pause back in vertical, and now we'll do one more hip thing. I'll turn so it's an easier view for y'all. We're gonna internally rotate our right leg, coming to almost a crescent lunge, and then externally rotate it back to our goddess. And we'll switch sides. So we internally rotate left, coming up on the toes, and open. And the right leg rotates, and back to goddess. We're just gonna bop between these two. I'm gonna turn back around to be oriented with you. Good. Last time, left foot turns. We'll just turn all the way to the front of the mat, so right that right foot, and then lower the left knee, lower the left arm under the shoulder, and open for a twist to the right. This is a twisted low lunge. Other option is to press into the left toes and extend that knee for more of a twisted crescent. Again, you can let the left ear relax towards the left shoulder. Good, and we'll all lower that knee if you don't have it. Plant the right hand and sweep the right knee back. Starting on the other side here, internally rotate the hips, knees coming together, feet are apart. Remember, be mindful of what feels good here. Inhale for your cow. Exhale for cat. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. See if things are more open. Even though, we only did one quick little sequence, but this feels different for me. I hope it does for you too. Just oscillating between our two here. Good, and then quiet that cat-cow. We're opening towards the left side of the mat this time. Right leg continues to sweep behind us, left leg reaches, and the left arm reaches towards the front of the mat for gate pose. Lengthen that tailbone towards the left heel. Maybe you let that right ear reach towards the right shoulder, just letting the neck relax. Final option is to add our backstroke with the left arm. So that left arm reaching up towards the back, down, and back to the front. Returning to the front, not back. Feeling that shoulder blade move on the ribs, this feels great. Two more if you took that. Good, and when you've done your two, we're heading to seated twist, so we'll sit the hips back. Maybe you slide the right foot slightly under you more. An option to extend the right leg first, then cross the left over, or you can just keep that right leg bent. Palms at heart center here. Inhale, extend the spine. Exhale, twisting from your midline, twist to the left towards that top leg. You can maybe bring the left fingertips to the floor, right hand to the leg. Inhale, everybody draw the chin slightly towards the throat. Feel the back of the neck lengthen. And exhale. Just getting used to this tall position. Exhale. We're heading to the back of the mat for our half kneel. So we'll unwind to the right, press into the left foot, and turn ourselves all the way around, turning to the back. Both sets of feet face the same direction. Lower the left knee, untuck the toes, and inhale, lift. Finding length here. Exhale, arms dangle by your sides. And one at a time, same deal, shoulder rolls, rolling back one side and then the other. Even here, I want you to feel the left glute awake and stabilizing the pelvis. Good, and then let that roll go. Fingertips will come to the floor or your pelvis. Tuck the back toes. Turn to your left for our side lunges. Both toes are facing the side of the mat, both sets of toes. And once again, see, A, is this maybe more available this time? And B, does it feel good to have fingertips on the floor, maybe hands on the legs or on your hips? Notice that and honor it. Show up for your body in that way. And we'll turn to the front of the mat, both sets of toes face. Slide this left leg back, three-legged down dog. Exhale, step the left foot forward, bend that knee, and just lengthen the spine. Bent knee pyramid. Shift the left leg back, three-legged down dog. Exhale, step it forward, shift your weight. Left hip crease keeps reaching back. And slide the leg, three-legged down dog. Step that foot forward for your pyramid. And this time the right leg will come next to the left, bend into the knees, shift that hip creases back, and we come up on the fingertips. Inhale here. Exhale, draw the chin towards your throat. And then slide those hands up the legs, bringing the hands on either side of the pelvis. I'm just turning so you can see. Right knee lifts, and then externally rotate the hip and lift the knee. So just alternating here, forward and to the side. And if you feel any like catching in the hip, just go a little lower. Make it smaller. One more, we'll lower the right foot. Step the right foot back, open for that goddess, facing the right side of the mat. Heels are slightly rotated in. Arms extend wide. And the left hand comes to the front of the ribs, side bend left, with that right arm reaching. And back to vertical, inhale. And exhale, side bend, right hand to the front of the ribs, left arm reaching. Inhale. And exhale, switching. One last time, inhale. And switch. Coming back to vertical here, we'll start with the left leg, internal rotation, coming onto the toes, back to our goddess. Right hip internally rotates, back into our goddess. Doing this on the diagonal, following the rotation of that front leg. Just two more. Last time here, open to your goddess, windmill to the front of the mat, right knee lowers, right hand lowers, open for this twist in the low lunge. Next option here is to extend the right leg if you would like. Creasing in that left hip, feeling the openness in the back. Good, and then the right knee lowers again. We'll plant the left hand and we're gonna take a couple moments returning to our child's pose for our Shavasana today. So just sit the hips back, find whatever version of this pose feels good. And just breathe. We'll hold it for just a bit. Settling into the work we just did. If you'd like to stay in that child's pose longer, I definitely recommend it if you have the time. If not, on your next exhale, open the mouth wide. Sigh that air out. And then start to walk the hands back towards the knees. And just let the legs come underneath you so you're sitting down in some position that's comfortable. Close those eyes when you get there. Big inhale. Exhale. And just bring the palms together at heart center, taking a moment, really thank yourself for doing this little check-in, giving your body that time, your mind that time, and your spirit that time. Thank you so much for joining me today. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Thank you. All right, I hope you're feeling loosey-goosey. I'll stick around if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. And I hope to see you this week or next. Thank you all.